Okay. Uh, Yesterday we have discussed about that is resource management. In that, I am going to recap that one. That is resource provisioning, guys. Okay. What is meant by provisioning, guys? Supplying. Okay. Provisioning means supply. Okay. Coming to resource provisioning, guys, it is the process of selecting and deploying and managing the software as well as hardware resources. Okay, means providing the different resources, guys, providing the different types of resources, okay, in order to achieve the high performance, guys. Okay, any user who went for the cloud, okay, they will provide the different resources. Okay, why they are going for the cloud, guys? To achieve the high performance, guys, with the less cost. That is the main importance. Okay, the cloud manager will take care about this resource provisioning, guys. Okay, right. Okay, guys, in this resource provisioning, okay, SLA plays a very important role, guys. What is meant by SLA means a service level agreement. It's an agreement between the cloud users as well as cloud providers, guys. What it will contains, guys, okay, what are the things that is provided by cloud that will be incorporated in that service level agreement, as well as, okay, how much the cloud user has to pay for each and every resource. If you are unable to pay also, what they have to do, that will be incorporated in the service level agreement, guys. Okay, likewise, the cloud provider is unable to provide the service to the cloud user. Okay, what are the things they have to do, that is also mentioned in the service level agreement. In the service level agreement, okay, what are the different types of resources they are providing also, they will mention, guys. Based on that, the cloud provider will allocate the different resources to the cloud users. Okay, the service level agreements will play a very important roles in the cloud computing. Okay, guys, I told you, guys, SLA, that is plays a very important role. Okay, in the SLA, what are the different types of resources that is provided by cloud? We have to mention like CPU bandwidth, memory, okay, networking capabilities, of which operating system they are providing, what is the speed of the CPU. Okay, all this we will mention in the SLA, guys. Based on that one, they will allocate the resources. Right, guys? Okay. Hey guys, here the resource allocation done has to be done in an effective way. Why? Because for suppose, okay, okay, I'm developing a one application. I'm developing a one application in cloud. Okay, at one point of time, my processor capabilities. For suppose, I'm using some processor with some speed. That is not at all sufficient to run my application. That is not at all run. Means that is not at all use. Okay, for at particular point of time. Then what we have to do is, guys, okay, we will just mention a mail to the cloud provider. I need this much of resource related to the CPU. Okay, that will be sent to the cloud. Okay, they will provide that accordingly. If for suppose if they are not made, the cloud provider not able to maintain the resources to you, then what will happen, guys? Okay, that will be affected on the application, guys. Okay, and also the users who are using that application also affected, guys. Okay, right. Okay, guys, here there are two types of provisioning of resources, guys. Okay, under provisioning of resources. Okay, and the second one is over provisioning of resources. Under provisioning of resources means that means uh, providing the resources that is less than the user requirements. Providing the resources that is less than the user requirement, that we call them as a under provision of resources, guys. Okay, for suppose the users are wanting some amount of CPU, number of CPUs, but the cloud is providing the less than that number of CPUs. Then what will happen, guys? That we call them as a under provisioning of resources. That will result in a penalties, obviously, guys. Okay, for the users also that will be penalized. Okay, that will reduce the that will be effect on the application as well as, right, guys. Okay, here, okay, if you provide the resources that is less than the number of the users needed, then we call them as a under provisioning, guys. Again, I'm saying this. Okay, that will obviously hurt the application performance, guys. That will obviously hurt the application performance. For suppose for running a one application, I need this much of speed, but the cloud provider is unable to provide that processor capabilities. What will happen, guys? Obviously, the application performance will be reduced. The next one is over provisioning of resources. The next one is what we call them over provisioning of resources. In over provisioning of resources, guys, okay, here, right, guys, here the users are wanting the less number of resources, but the cloud is providing the more than the user wanting the resources, more than the user wanted resources. Okay, that we call them as a over provisioning of resources. Here, the supply is more compared with the use. Supply is more. Okay, here the number of resources available is more compared with the users of the resources, guys. Okay, here what is here the more number of resources will be wasted here, guys. Okay, why? Because the users are wanting the less number of resources, but the cloud is providing the more number of resources. Here heavy wastage of resources will be there, guys. Heavy wastage of resources will be there. Okay, right? Let us see the diagrammatically, guys, this one. Okay, okay, guys, here is the demand, guys. Here is the demand. This is the capacity. This we call them as a over provisioning of resources. But here compare, guys, this is the okay diagram. Okay, this line is a demand, guys. Okay, and this line is a horizontal line is a capacity. Okay, if you observe here, guys, this red line, red colored information. Okay, this one is here. Okay, the demand is more compared with the capacity. This point of view, here we call them as a under provisioning of resources, guys. This is the example for under provisioning of resources, and this is the example for over provisioning of resources. Here the capacity is more, but the demand is less compared here. Okay, in under provisioning of resources, okay, the capacity is less and the demand we need is more. Right, guys? Okay, till now we have discussed in the external, guys. Let us start the new one, that is cloud security, guys. Cloud security. Why this cloud security is so much important related to cloud, guys? Why this cloud security is very much important, guys? Can anyone tell the reason for that one? Why this cloud security is important? We have to respond, guys.
Property security కావాలి sir.
Very good, very good. Any other?
ఒకే క్లౌడ్ కి మల్టిపుల్ యూజర్స్ ఉంటారు కదా సార్.
Yes.
సో మన డేటా మేబీ వాళ్ళు ఏమైనా యాక్సెస్ చేసుకునే ఇష్యూస్ ఉండొచ్చు.
Okay, very good. Somewhat, right, right. So normally, guys, the cloud. Okay, nowadays, guys, the lot of organizations are going for the cloud. Nowadays, lot of organizations are going for the cloud. They will place their secured information in the cloud. They will place their personal information as well as sensitive information in the cloud, guys. We have to protect the data, guys. We have to protect the data. Then only the new organization will come for the our cloud, guys. If you are not able to provide the security for the data that is they have given in the our cloud, okay, obviously that will impact on the business of the cloud, guys. We have to protect the data. We have to protect the data. Okay, for protecting we use cloud security, guys. Okay, what is this one means? Security is a principles applied to protect the data and the application and infrastructure. We are going to protect our data as well as our application that is there in the cloud as well as infrastructure of the cloud. We are going to protect it by using some security principles. We are going to discuss in these things, guys. Okay, in this topic we are going to discuss the what are the different security strategies we are going to use for the cloud computing, right? Okay, guys, if you provide the security for the cloud platform, obviously, guys, okay, it will eliminate the hacking as well as viruses, spam, privacy, copyright violation, and cheating. Okay, if you provide the security for that one, we are going to eliminate all these things, guys, hacking, viruses, spam, privacy, copyright violations, and cheating. Okay, maybe because we are following the some security principles and strategies that will eliminate all these things in the cloud, guys. Yes. Okay, guys, we have to provide the different service models, that is IaaS, PaaS, SaaS. We have to provide the security for that one, guys. Okay, we have to provide the security. Okay, once again, I'm recapping what is IaaS, what is PaaS, and what is SaaS. Okay, guys, I have told you so many times what is IaaS, what is PaaS, what is SaaS. Can anyone tell me what is IaaS?
Infrastructure as a service.
Pardon, pardon.
Infra-
One of you tell me.
Infrastructure as a service.
Okay, what it contains? Hello. What IaaS, guys? IaaS means it's an infrastructure as a service, guys. Okay, it contains the only the hardware components like processor capabilities, networking capabilities, storage capabilities. Those will come under IaaS, guys. Okay. Next, SaaS means only the softwares will be provided for rental basis. Okay, only the softwares will be provided for the rental basis. In PaaS, guys, it will provide both hardware and software for rental basis from the cloud, guys. Okay, here we have to follow the different security strategies. Okay, those will we have to discuss in this session, guys. Okay. Okay, for protecting our data center, okay, we have to use biometrics. Okay, different types of biometrics like finger scanning, eye scanning, different types of biometrics are there. We have to use those for securing the data center. If anybody want to enter into the data center, they have to scan. Okay, if it is agree, then only they can go into the data center, guys. Like CCTVs we have to maintain, and motion detection sensors also we have to maintain in the data center to protect the data center from unauthorized participants. We have to maintain a biometric readers, CCTVs, and motion detection also we have to use for protecting the data center. If anybody want to enter into the data center, they have to go through these things. Okay, right? And we have to protect our network in the cloud with the help of firewalls, guys. Okay, it's a fault tolerant, guys. Firewalls we have to use. By using these firewalls, we are able to restrict the unauthorized persons going into the network of the cloud, guys. Okay, the firewalls we have to use for the to secure the network. Okay, one more thing, guys. To provide the security for the data, okay, what we have to follow is we have to encryption and decryption strategies. Okay, what is meant by encryption and decryption, guys? What is meant by encryption?
Process of converting plain text into ciphertext, sir.
Very
Encryption.
encryption. Decryption means
Ciphertext to plain text, sir.
it's very good, very good. Okay, uh, okay. This can anyone say what is the ciphertext? Is it understandable for the normal users?
No, sir.
Yes, very good. Okay, if the if you are sending the information or if you are saving the information in the form of ciphertext means anybody want to access the data, then also they're unable to understand that information, guys. They are unable to understand that information, right? Okay, to secure the data inside the cloud, okay, what we are going to do is normally the plain information is there in our okay. What we are going to do is with the help of encryption, we are going to change that information to ciphertext. Okay, that will be sent to the cloud. Okay, that the information will be saved in the cloud. If anybody want to access that information, they are unable to understand. Why? Because that is not at all understandable, man. It is not at all understandable. Okay, guys, that is not at all understandable. Okay, then how the users will understand, guys? Okay, the 1 minute, guys. Okay, guys, small interruption. Got a call. Okay, right? Okay. We have to use this encryption and decryption mechanism to protect our data. How we are going to protect, guys? If you want to save any information in the cloud, what we are going to do is we have to use encryption mechanism. Okay, we convert that information that is the plain text to ciphertext that will be saved in the cloud, guys. Okay, whenever you want to view, then what we will going to do is we have to decrypt that information from the ciphertext to plain text, and we are going to use that information. Okay, in this way we are going to protect the data, that is we are going to save in the cloud. This is the one of the mechanism. Okay, the next one is password policies. We have to use different password policies. If anybody want to enter into that cloud data, okay, they have to use the different password mechanisms. Okay, some of the clouds using the multiple password user authentication, guys. Two-time authentication. Okay, two-time authentication. Anybody having the HDFC account, guys? Okay, I will tell you what is the two-time authentication technique. Anybody having HDFC account? Okay, no problem, no problem. I will tell you guys. Okay, if you are going to log in HDFC account, guys, okay, you have to enter the username and you have to enter the password. That is okay. That is one-time authentication. Okay, in addition to that, after entering the user number, ID, account number, what they will going to do is they will display some information. Okay, in that you have to select this. Okay, one of the image. Okay, a particular image will be assigned for you guys. Okay, okay, you have to select that one, and you have to enter the password also. Means you have to two authentication things. One is selecting the proper image for that is assigned for you. You have to select, as well as the password. These type of things also they will use in the cloud, guys. Okay, two-time authentication. Right? Understand, guys? These are the different security things. Right? Okay, one is a biometric and CCTVs and motion detection. Next, firewalls, and we have to use encryption and decryption and password policies to protect the data. The next one is cloud defense methods, guys. Okay, normally, guys, the cloud platform is there means it contains the valuable information. It contains the valuable information. If anybody hack that information, means obviously they will get more money from the cloud users, guys. Obviously, okay, if you done any attack on any cloud, obviously they will charge some more money to withdraw from the cloud, guys. Obviously, okay, that is why the lots of hackers are coming to picture to hack the different clouds and different websites, guys. Okay, there are different types of attacks are there, like in particularly for the cloud. Okay, that is hypervisor malware. Okay, hypervisor malware. Okay, it will hack the hypervisor, guys. Okay, malicious attack on the hypervisor. What is meant by hypervisor, guys? Hypervisor is a software, okay, used to create a virtual machines. Used to create a virtual machine, as well as virtual machines are maintained with the help of hypervisor. Okay, that means hypervisor plays a very important role in the cloud computing. Without the virtualization, the cloud computing is not there. With the virtualization is there, means hypervisor will be there. Okay, if they have attacked the hypervisor, means obviously the cloud cannot work. The different virtual machines cannot work. Okay, this is the one type of attack. And next one is guest hoping. What is meant by guest hoping, guys? Just observe, guys. Okay, the hacker access the virtual machine. Okay, here the hacker hacks the access the virtual machine. Okay, with that help of that virtual machine, they are going to penetrate into the another virtual machine hosted on the same hardware, guys. Here hardware is there, on the top of that one different virtual machines will be there. Here the attacker access this virtual machine. Here attacker access the virtual machine. Okay, by using that virtual machine, he is going to penetrate into the another virtual machine that is hosted in the same hardware, that we call them as a guest hoping. Okay, the next one is hijacking, guys. Next one is hijacking, means occupying the area with different persons, that we call them as hijacking. These are the different types of attacks on cloud platforms. Okay, guys, right? Okay, the concept of virtualization enhances the cloud security. Obviously, guys, the concept of virtualization means not existing thing. Okay, virtualization means not existing thing. Okay, with the help of this virtualization, guys, we are going to enhance the cloud security. Okay, why? Because this virtual machine adds a separate software layer. We call them as a hypervisor. Okay, this virtual machine adds a separate software layer in between the operating system and the hardware. This will protect our data from failure. Okay, this virtualization layer will protect our data from failure. Okay, guys, with the help of this virtualization, the one software layer will come into in between the operating system and the hardware. That will protect. Okay, that will protect the data from failure. Right? Okay, let us see the different cloud security protection schemes, guys. Okay, let us see the different cyber security protection schemes related to the cloud. Okay, guys, we have to choose a secure data center, guys. Okay, that is a safer computer building. Okay, it is a hazard free. That should be in a hazard free location, guys. We have to suppose if you want to build your own data center. Okay, we have to choose like this, guys. That should be free from any hazard. Okay, that location should be free from any hazard locations. Like suppose Chennai means we will have different like tsunamis we will have. If you take the Gujarat means Ahmedabad means there may be a probability that earthquakes may happen like that. Okay, you have to choose a location that is safer for all the things. That is a hazard free location we call them. We have to choose that type of location. Okay, for placing the data center, for placing the data centers, right? Okay, guys. One more thing is we have to maintain redundant utilities. Okay, redundant means reusable thing or duplication. We can say that redundant utilities. For suppose, okay, we have to maintain multiple power supplies, guys. Okay, if for suppose they have maintained only one power supply means if they lost the power means okay all the resources will be stopped working, guys. That is why they have to take the power supply from different sources. Okay, different multiple sources, guys. Okay, and the next one is additional network connection. We have to use different additional. If any other one network fails, they will connect to the another network. Likewise, they will use multiple databases at several sites. They will use multiple databases at several sites. Okay, what is meant by what is the importance of this multiple database file? For suppose okay I am using okay one cloud application for in the cloud. Okay, that is in the Chennai location. For suppose one day if the Chennai location affected with tsunami, then what will happen, guys? The data center will be lost. The content inside the data center also will lose it. Okay, if you are not maintaining the duplicate content for that one, what we are to happen, guys? We lost the information. If you for suppose we maintain the duplicate content in the another geographical location, that is suppose Hyderabad, I have maintained another data center. Okay, the same content will be duplicated that is there in the Chennai also. What will happen, guys? If anything happen to the Chennai location, okay, then automatically I will connect it to the Hyderabad location. The content will be available. The application also running fine without any problems. Without any problem, the application will be running, right? Okay. In this way, they will maintain the redundant utilities, guys, to save the content. Okay, to secure the content that is there in the web. Okay. Okay. Okay, guys, we have to use the reputated system, guys. Reputational system for data center. We have to use the reputational data center system for. Okay, here they will use peer-to-peer technologies, guys. Okay, what is meant by peer-to-peer technology, guys? Okay, here the group of systems will be interconnected. Okay, each system will be connected to the all the other systems. What is the importance of this peer technologies? Resources sharing will be there, guys. Okay, at any point of time any system can join in the network. At any point of time they can leave from the network, guys. That is the importance of peer-to-peer. Okay, here we have to use this type of reputational systems for data center, guys. Okay, adding any computer to the peer-to-peer network is that is very easy. Okay, and moreover that here there is no server there. Okay, there is no server. Okay, at any point of time any system will act as a server. At any point of time they will act as a client also. Okay, that is we call them as a peer-to-peer technology, guys. Okay, so here we have to use this type of reputational system for data centers. Okay, and they have to use this fine-grained file access control mechanisms, guys. Okay, they have to use file-grained file access control mechanisms. What is meant by this one is, guys, suppose okay each and every file will have some control mechanisms, guys. Okay, who has to access this file? Okay, that will be already there on that file, guys. Okay, if anybody want to access that one, okay, if the person is having those right to access that file, then only they are able to access, guys. Okay, then only if they are having the access right to the particular file, then only they are able to access that particular file. Otherwise they are unable to access that particular file. Okay, in this way they will protect the security. Okay, and we have to follow like firewalls for that additional security also. We have to give additional security by allowing by using the firewalls. Okay, what will firewalls do, guys? Okay, it will block the unauthorized users that is entering into the network, guys. Okay, for additional security, we can use this firewalls, guys. So once again, I am telling guys what is meant by file access control mechanism. Each and every file will have some access control, guys. Okay, if anybody want to access that file, if the person is having the right to access that file, then only they are able to access. Otherwise, they are unable to access the file, guys. Okay, right? The next one is privacy protection, guys. The next one is privacy protection. Okay, here I already told you guys double authentication. What is meant by double authentication, guys? Okay, 2 times we have to enter, guys. Okay, well, that is first I have given already one example, that is HDFC one. Logging into that one, what we have to do, guys? First we have to enter the username. After entering that one, we have to enter. Then it will give one text block for entering the password, and after that one they will have the different images, and in that one also we have to select that image that is particularly assigned for you. Okay, that image will be assigned at the starting of while creating it for a phone, guys. Okay, it will have the different images, so we have to select the image that is particularly assigned for you, guys. Okay, in this way they will have, one is the password mechanism, otherwise selecting the image that is assigned for you, that is also you have to do it, yes. The both the things you have to do it, that we call them as double authentication. And biometric, okay, like finger scanning, eye scanning, or different types of scannings are there. Okay, these are things uh, to protect, for providing privacy for the protection. We use this biometric identification also, and the disaster recovery also. What is meant by disaster recovery, guys? Okay, the word is new for you, but the content inside that disaster recovery is already you know, guys. What is meant by disaster recovery, guys? Anyone has, please tell me. The name implies, guys, disaster recovery. Guys, you have to respond. Okay, disaster recovery means, for suppose, okay, normally the data center will be in different location, guys. For suppose, my data center is at Chennai location. Okay, my data center is at Chennai location. That is also near to the sea. Okay, one day, guys, one tsunami happened. What it will banish all the content that is there in the data center of Chennai. Okay, if I lost the information, means obviously to create that information it takes a lots and years. Okay, obviously to create the content again, obviously it takes lots of time and lot of money and a lot of manpower also, and a lot of resources also. Okay, what is the solution for this one, guys? Okay, we have to maintain a duplicate data center. We have to maintain a duplicate data center that is also in the different geographical locations. That is also in the different geographical location. For suppose I have maintained the duplicate data center in the Delhi location. Okay, the tsunami obviously cannot come to the Delhi. Obviously, what will happen, guys? The content, the application will connect it to the content that is there in the Delhi, guys. This process we call them as a disaster recovery, guys. In disaster recovery, guys, okay, the time between the stopping of services from one location to the again starting the service at the other location, that should be minimum, guys. That should we have to maintain minimum, that we call them as a downtime, guys. That we call them as a downtime. We have to maintain the downtime minimum in disaster recovery, guys. Okay, hope you all of you understand this one, guys. Okay, let us proceed for the next. Okay, here there are two techniques to protect the data, guys. That is the data and software protection techniques, we call them as. Okay, one is data integrity and privacy protection. That is the first technique. The next one is data coloring and cloud watering, guys. Sorry, guys. Okay, these two are the techniques, data software protection techniques, guys. These are the two techniques. One is data software protection, that data integrity and privacy protection is the first technique. The next one is data coloring and cloud watering, guys. These two are the techniques to protect the data and softwares that is there in the cloud. Okay, let us see the first one, that is data integrity and privacy protection, guys. Data integrity and privacy. Okay, guys, in this technique, what we are going to do is we are going to create a one software environment. okay, for providing the data integrity and privacy protection. Okay, this type of environment software application, okay, that is used in the EC2 as well as Hadoop. What is meant by EC2, guys? Anyone? Okay, very good, guys. Okay, EC2 means it's a like one virtual machine. Okay, it is having the computing capabilities, storage capabilities, processing capabilities, all the things it will happen. It will have. Okay, who will provide this one, guys? EC2 means Amazon Web Services. Okay, that internally uses this software environment, guys, to protect the data integrity and privacy protection. Okay, Amazon already internally it uses this one. Likewise, Hadoop also uses this type of software application to protect the data that is there inside the cloud base. Okay, what are the silent features of this software environment? Let us see, guys. What are the features of this software environment? Okay, in this data integrity and privacy protection, they use this software environment protect the data. Okay, that is already used in the EC2 and Hadoop also. What are the features? Let us see, guys. Okay, in the software environment. Okay, it uses special APIs, guys, application program interfaces, okay, for user authentication. Okay, if anybody want to enter into that this one, okay, they use special APIs for user authentication, guys. Okay, it may be password or anything. Okay, for user authentication, they use the special APIs. Okay, for sending the information, for communicating the information, guys, they use commercial accounts. Okay, for sending the mails. Okay, they use commercial accounts, guys, not like via gmail.com. Okay, they just their company. For suppose for CRD organization means they just at the rate sir crengg.com. Okay, likewise the for Wipro company they uses the at the rate wipro.com. Likewise they uses their different commercial accounts, not like free ones, not like a free ones, to protect their data. Why? Because the data is the main important thing in the software industry. We have to protect that one. For that they use these commercial accounts, guys. Okay, and the special APIs. Right, guys. Okay, and one more thing that the another feature for this software environment is the, guys, okay, it allows shared data has to be protected against deletion. For suppose any some data has to be shared among the different organization employees. For suppose, okay, if anybody want to delete that content means they will provide the protection against the deletion. Okay, they don't have the right to delete that shared content, guys. They don't have the right to delete the shared content. Okay, for that they just the this mechanism. Okay, any content is shared, okay, that cannot be deleted, that cannot be deleted. Okay, and one more thing, another feature of the software environment is that, okay, it establishes a VPN, okay, virtual private network, guys. Okay, for the secure data transmission they use, okay, VPN channels. Okay, that is also one of the feature of the feature that is related to the software environment in the data integrity and privacy policy. What they will use, guys, VPNs, virtual private network channels. Okay, with that help they are going to send the data from one source to another source. Okay, guys, and the last one is fine-grained access control to protect the data from hackers, guys. I already told you guys what is this meant by fine-grained access control means. For suppose if I'm having one file is there, okay, one person want to open that file, then okay, if that person is having the right to open that file, then only he is able to access that file. Okay, he is able to, when we are going to access that file, guys, if he is having the right to access that file, then only he is able to access that file. Otherwise he is unable to access that file. In this way they will protect the data that is there inside the file, guys. Okay, fine-grained access control, in this way they will protect the data from outsiders. Okay, have a glance on this one. Able to you, can you able to?
Yes, sir.
Okay, sir. Okay, nine Bob. Okay, the second method is data coloring and cloud watering, guys. What is the second method, guys? Data coloring and cloud watering. Okay, guys. Okay, guys. Normally, guys, here the cloud consists of different data sets and different files that has to be shared among the cloud users, guys. Right? Okay, the normally cloud consists of different sets of data as well as files. Okay, normally the cloud users, what they will do is they will share the content among themselves. Okay, that will obviously affect the privacy and the security, guys. That is obviously affect the privacy and the security. For suppose one file is created by me, if it is accessed by another person means there is no privacy at all, and as well as there is no security for the content that is stored in the cloud also. For that situation, okay, in the cloud, what they will do is they use this data coloring and cloud watering technique, guys. Data coloring and cloud watering techniques. Okay, okay. Here for that one, to avoid this type of privacy and security for the providing there, they use the rich set of tools, guys, to create the cloud application to protect the data space. There are sets of tools that internally they use this data coloring and cloud watering techniques, guys. Data coloring and cloud watering. Let us see what is this data coloring and cloud watering technique, guys. Very simple, guys. Okay, let us just a glance. You're able to easily understand that. Okay. So normally, guys, in a cloud, there are two software schemes to protect the information that is there in the cloud environment, guys. That is, one is the cloud watering watermarking technique. The second one is data coloring, the cloud watermarking technique and the data coloring, guys. Okay, in cloud watermarking technique, guys, what for suppose one data set is there. Okay, okay, that is verified by with the identity of the owner, guys. Okay, each and every data set will be having the identity of owner on that one, guys. Okay, if anybody want to access that one, the identity verified. For suppose I have created one data set, okay, and I have went for the cloud watermarking, guys. Okay, then what it will do is, guys, cloud watermarking technique, they will place our identity on that data set. They will place identity on the data object, guys. For suppose if anybody want to enter want to access the data set, they will verify the identity of the owner of the data set. Okay, if it is not matched, means obviously what will happen, guys, he is unable to access that one. He is unable to access that one. Okay, for suppose I want to access that one, that is created myself. Okay, my identity is myself only. Then what it will take, it will verify the identity. Okay, then if the person is accessing and the owner of that data set is matched, then only he has to access. For myself, the owner as well as the user are the same thing, then I am able to access the content. In this way, it will protect the data from outsiders, guys. It will protect the data from outsiders. Okay, the next one is data coloring, guys. The next one is data coloring, guys. Here, for each and every object, the particular color will be assigned, guys. For suppose, okay, I have created 3 data sets, guys. For these 3 data set, the same color will be there. For suppose blue, okay, those 3 objects will be assigned with a blue color. Okay, for some other person is there, okay, he has created 2 objects. For that particular person, he has given light yellow color. Likewise, for each and every object, data object, okay, that will be assigned with a unique color. For suppose if I want to access, means I am able to access only the blue color data objects. Okay, other than the blue color data objects, I am unable to access that data content. This is the main point related to the data color. Okay, each and every object will be having a one particular color. Okay, for suppose one color is assigned for one user, he is able to access only that colored objects only. He is unable to access the another other than the objects. He is unable to access the data objects that is the other than the blue color. Okay, for suppose I have assigned with a blue color, means I am able to access only the objects, data objects that are in blue color. Okay, I am unable to access the other colors like light yellow color. I am unable to access. Okay, the objects that is there with a light yellow color, that I am unable to access, guys. In this way, the data coloring restrict the data objects, guys. Okay, okay, right, guys. Okay, understand, guys. Once again, I'm recapping these 2 things, that is cloud watermarking and data coloring, guys. Okay, each and every object will have some identity of owner will be there, guys. Okay, if anybody want to access that information, means, okay, the identity of the owner will be verified. Okay, if that identity of the owner is matched with the user who is accessing the data, then only you are able to access the content. That is cloud watermarking technique. That the next one is data coloring, means each and every object will be having a each and every object will having a unique color, guys. Okay, for suppose I am assigned with a one color particular, then I am able to access only those colored objects only. Other objects I am unable to access it, guys. Okay, guys, this is the information, right? Okay. In this way we will protect the data. Next we will going to see the in the next class, guys. Okay, hope you have enjoyed my class. Okay, any doubts, guys, you can ask me.